Have you ever looked at someone and thought, man, I really wish I had their confidence? Like they were just born with it, genetically gifted to walk into any room and just own it. Well, if you're saying no, then I'm calling you out because I do not believe it. There's always room for us to have just a little bit more confidence. But here's what most people never realize. You never realize that the confidence that they have isn't something that they were born with. It's actually something that you can build. And most people don't lack ability. What they really lack is belief. Not because they're lazy, but because their mind is running on outdated programming. And in this episode, I'm going to give you the real blueprint for building confidence from the inside out. Not some fluffy motivational hype, but a neuroscience backed, action driven path to becoming the person that you keep pretending to be. So if you are wanting more confidence, then stick around because this one is just for you. All right, welcome back. Or if this is your first time tuning in, I am so glad that you are here with me today. Thank you for giving me a slice of your time today. I know how busy life can get, so it genuinely means a lot that you've chosen to spend a little bit of your time here with me today. And if you've been improving with me for a while, welcome back. You already know how much I appreciate you. And real quick, before we dive in, I just want to ask one small favor. If these episodes have been valuable to you, the best no cost way to say thank you is with a little review. Believe it or not, these episodes take me about 3 to 4 hours to actually curate. So if you could just take a couple minutes to leave a rating or a few honest words on Apple Podcast or Spotify, it goes a long way for me. And it helps more people find the show and start doing the work to become the high performers that they were meant to be. So thank you in advance for doing that for me. And just to let you know, I do read every single one, and it truly fuels me to keep showing up for you week after week. All right, with that, let's get into the show. And I want to start with taking you guys back to probably one of the most uncomfortable seasons of my life. I had just landed my first big boy 6 figure engineering job after coming from a role where I was literally only making $9 an hour as an engineer. So you would think this is a dream and it sounds amazing, right? But I was literally freaking out. And I didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't feel like I was qualified. Maybe it's because I had a job where I was literally getting paid $9 an hour before. So I just didn't have the confidence to go into this role. So what did I do? Well, I spent the entire week before my first day and I pulled out all of my old college textbooks. I was cramming calculus, my thermodynamics, fluid mechanics. I was prepping as if I was getting ready to take a final. And not because it would actually help me with the job, even though I thought it would. But the reason why I was doing it is because it felt like I was being productive in the fear. It's what I like to call, and you probably heard it before, productive procrastination. It's my brain's way of avoiding the real fear. And that fear for me is, what if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if they find out that I don't know what I'm doing? But here's the truth that most people don't actually say out loud. And I didn't walk into that job out of courage. I walked in because I wanted the money. And I figured if I was going to fail, hey, I might as well get paid first, right? I mean, worst case scenario is I get fired and I still cash in on a week's check at 100,000. I can't say that it was this huge confidence breakthrough that allowed me to move forward. It was actually just logic, pure and simple logic. It ended up being movement, and that movement was critical even if it wasn't perfect. And what I realized later, looking back at this, that almost every good thing in life will show up with a dose of fear. Maybe it's the new job. Maybe it's a big investment. Maybe it's starting the business. Maybe it's proposing or becoming a parent. All of those, fear is part of the deal, but it's not always this big red flag. In fact, science actually backs this up, luckily, that the same part of your brain is triggered when you're excited and when you're afraid. But the only difference is the story that you attach to the feeling. Excitement says, hey, this matters. Fear, on the other hand, says, hey, what if this goes wrong? But it's the exact same spark either way. And after years, I've realized that fear can be in the car with me, but it can ride shotgun rather than getting to drive the car. I can feel afraid and still take the meeting. I can feel afraid and still make the call. I can feel afraid and still show up. I didn't need to feel ready because 99.999% of the time, believe it or not, you won't feel ready to do something exciting or scary. I mean, think about parenting. When are we ever ready to have a kid? Never. You're never going to be ready. You just do it and you find a way. You just need to go. And that one moment wasn't the beginning or the end of my confidence journey, going back to me taking that job as an engineer. It wasn't this huge epiphany that I had once I did it. But the coolest thing about when you embrace the fear and take action anyway, you get a rep in. And that rep starts to build trust. And that trust will start to actually build beliefs. So, how do you actually build confidence? Well, I want to break this down into a 5-part framework, not some theory, but in actual practice. So, let's start here. First, we want to find the root, not the symptoms. Most people try to hype themselves up with some sort of positive affirmation. Maybe you've tried it, maybe it works for a day or two, but eventually it's going to fade off because what they're doing is you're just telling yourself, hey, go take action. But we all know that unfortunately it doesn't work like that, because if it did work, then we'd all have six packs and we'd all have perfect lives. But it doesn't. And it doesn't work because if you don't get to the root of what's holding you back, that doubt will always creep back, just like a weed in your life. Because confidence isn't blocked by lack of skill, it's actually blocked by unchallenged beliefs. So, whenever you find yourself feeling that you're lacking some confidence, take a pause and ask yourself, what am I really afraid of right now? Is it failure? Is it judgment? Is it shame? Is it rejection? And then ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself that makes that fear feel true? Because once you have some data, then the next step is to go write it down. Because when you actually see the story that's in your mind on paper outside of your head, you'll probably realize how ridiculous some of it actually will sound. Because fear literally thrives in silence, but it crumbles in light. So let's figure out what it is so we can shine some light on it. And despite what you might be thinking, a wild idea is your brain actually wants to protect you. It creates these stories to avoid emotional pain. It's doing it to try to keep you safe. But if you never challenge those stories that it's created, they just keep running the show of your life. Not because they're true, but because they've never been questioned or challenged. So by writing it out, you're going to be able to see what it is that's going on. And then you'll be able to clear out a lot of that mental clutter. And once you've named the fear and challenged the story that you see in front of you, now you can start to create some new space, some new ideas, some new beliefs. And you get to fill it with something that's actually real this time. Because the thing is you can't build confidence in general. You have to build it in something specific. And saying, I just want to be more confident, well, it might sound nice, but it's like saying, I want to be fit. Cool. fit fit for what? Fit for running, fit for lifting, fit for surfing. Each one of those is going to change what your target is. And confidence isn't some personality trait. It's a skill applied in context. So, just like learning and doing anything else, we want to get specific. So, ask yourself, what do I want to feel confident doing? And why does that even matter to me? Maybe it's I want to feel confident pitching my product because I know that it works and it deserves to have a seat at the table. And here's the cool part once you start to do this is your brain knows exactly what to focus on and it will start working with you once you get clarity on that thing. It will finally be with you and no longer against you. And that's due to the reticular activating system inside of your brain. It's like a filter for your brain. And the more specific your goals are, the better it can scan both your brain and your environment for opportunity instead of continuously creating threats for you. And once you've defined what you want confidence in, the next trap that I see so many people fall into, myself included, is trying to wait to feel ready. If you're listening to this, I want to see your hand up. If this is you, if you've ever waited to feel ready, because you're going to be waiting a long time, because confidence isn't built from thinking, even though, ah, I really wish it was. I'm so good at thinking. I'm so good at planning. I'm so good at reading. But thinking is not going to build the confidence. It's actually built from taking steps and building reps. And those reps don't come from hoping. You have to plan and you have to actually go out and create them. So instead of waiting to rise to the moment, we want to script your response before the moment even comes to fruition. And what I mean by this is ask yourself these questions. Start to plan out what's going to happen when the fear comes for you, because it will. So when fear inevitably shows up, think to yourself, how am I going to respond? And try to plan out an idea of what action that you actually want to take despite the fear instead of letting the fear choose your reaction and your response. You need to start to come up with a script and a plan of this is what I'm going to do. So let me give you an example. Maybe next time imposter syndrome kicks in before a meeting, maybe you pause, maybe you take a breath, maybe you remind yourself that, hey, I've earned this seat because of this accomplishment that I've done, or maybe because of my hard work. And all I need to do is show up and just share one good idea. And that idea is going to be this. All we're trying to do is come up with a plan, come up with something where you get to stay in control instead of letting fear dictate what it is that you're going to do. And believe it or not, this isn't just mindset fluff that I'm sharing. This is actual neuroscience at work because when you preload your decisions, you actually short circuit the fear loop in your brain and you reduce decision fatigue and you give your brain a clear path forward before the panic spiral ever gets a chance to start. All right, now here's the part that most people ignored is you can't build a new mindset in an environment that constantly reinforces the old one and the old bad habits. So if you want to become more confident, your environment around you has to support that. So take a look around you. Who are you spending time with? What are you feeding your mind? And what are the quiet habits that keep you playing small? Identify what those are. Because maybe for you, it's unfollowing a few accounts that trigger comparison, or maybe it's swapping a scroll session for a podcast that actually challenges your thinking. Obviously, that's what you're doing right now. So kudos to you. Or maybe it's scheduling one intentional conversation each week with someone who stretches you a little bit. And this is so important because your environment either reinforces the current version of you, or it nudges you toward who you actually want to become. And this isn't theory, this is identity science, and identity is built in context. And the fifth and final step is to install some accountability in your life. Because if you've ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it, then this is probably your missing piece, is you've let yourself off the hook before. And my hands up right now because I have too. And it's not because we're lazy, but it's actually because we're human. And that's why accountability is so important. It's not about punishment, it's actually about partnership. It's having someone in your corner who knows when you're playing small, someone who will not buy into your excuses or the manipulation that you do to yourself. It's having someone who reflects the strongest version of you back when you might have forgot that that's who you're capable of being. Maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's a friend who just doesn't sugarcoat things for you. Maybe it's something simple like this. Maybe you think, I hired a coach not to motivate me, but to hold me to the standard that I say that I want. And the reason why this is so powerful is because of these little neurons that we call mirror neurons in our brain. And these little guys are responsible for your brain mirroring the beliefs and the energy of the people that you're consistently around. So when someone believes in you consistently, you actually start to take on that belief system, and you actually will finally start to rise to meet the beliefs of those around you. Okay, so here's your challenge for the week. I want you to pick one area where you've been waiting to feel confident. Then walk through the framework that we just talked about. Identify what's the fear, identify what's the story, identify what's the target, identify what's the script that you're going to come up with so that you can overcome it. And then find someone or something or some way to build some accountability for the plan that you came up. Then act on it. Which one of those are you going to start today? Pick one, do one today, then add another one tomorrow, and another one, and another one. In 5 days, you'll have all five things set up and ready to finally overcome your fear. Don't wait. Don't wait until you feel ready, because you're going to be waiting a long time. Because confidence isn't something that you can actually wait for, it's something that you earn one rep at a time. So please stop stalling and start stacking some wins. And if you want to take it deeper, send me a DM on Instagram at Creighton_Bertrand and tell me where you're building confidence this week. And hey, if this episode hit home for you, chances are it just might hit home for someone else too. So if you got a friend, if you have a teammate or a brother or sister or anyone in the world who's been struggling with some confidence, send this to them. Maybe this is your opportunity to have them as your accountability. Just don't keep it to yourself if this was helpful, because leaders don't just rise, they help others rise too. And that, my friend, is how we grow together. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you. Thank yourself. You're amazing. Cheers to you. Cheers to change. And now it's your turn to go and get to work.